All eyes on the border, where a policy that allows agents to turn away migrants over COVID concerns is set to end tomorrow. That policy, known as Title 42, has certainly been a contentious issue. Border states suing the federal government, even the Supreme Court stepping in. Many concerned what the policy's ending could mean for an already chaotic situation in so many border towns. And one homeowner sharing this security video with NewsNation. It shows people she says are migrants trying to break into her ranch. She says this is not the first time this has happened. I will speak with that homeowner about the situation in just a bit, but first, want to check in with correspondent Allie Bradley live in Yuma, Arizona. And Allie, some people there are worried this situation could get even worse.
Yeah, Natasha, you're exactly right here. So the impending end of Title 42 is what brought a lot of migrants to our southern border on the Mexico side. But the news of that policy being extended and not going away didn't keep those migrants there, as a Border Patrol source actually confirms to me that here in the Yuma sector, they saw one of the busiest weeks last week. And over the last 6 months, Natasha, this was the busiest week, seeing 8,000 people cross into the Yuma sector. So many of the ones that we talked to actually tell us that they didn't want to stay in Mexico any longer because it wasn't safe for them. This, as hundreds of migrants are gathering on the Mexico side of the border once again, waiting for the end of Title 42. That's supposed to come tomorrow. Now, this threat didn't stop the thousands from crossing the southern border, as we saw migrants streaming into El Paso and the Del Rio sectors, along with here in Yuma. The transnational criminal organizations, or cartels, are really capitalizing off of these large groups, and they're pushing them across despite the policy still being in place, really giving them the advantage along our southern border.
Pushing these people across this area so they can take advantage of other areas that would be more open with less personnel. And they're pushing across the drugs, the fentanyl, everything that will do harm to the United States.
Okay, so we want to get into some numbers here. Nearly 30,000 migrants have crossed into Yuma in December alone, and that does not include those who are actively evading law enforcement. We have confirmed with multiple Border Patrol sources that for the second month in a row, at least 73,000 undocumented individuals successfully got away from law enforcement in November. That means this fiscal year, which began October 1st, at least 212,000 people have crossed into the U.S. illegally. And these people were all either seen on camera or in a bailout following a pursuit, and they were never caught. Now, Natasha, that breaks down to, as I mentioned, 212 this fiscal year, 600,000 the last fiscal year. And so Title 42 is set to expire tomorrow. However, we know that there are no concrete plans in place that the administration is touting as of right now. We do know, though, that DHS is saying that regardless of an immigrant's nationality, quote, anyone attempting to enter without authorization is subject to expulsion under Title 42. So when that goes away tomorrow, what will they be doing? Well, Representative Henry Queller from Texas actually went out and said that one of the plans that the administration has in place is to potentially funnel and work with Mexico, is to funnel everybody out of Arizona, New Mexico, and California and send them to the Rio Grande Valley, which is where McAllen is, which is one of the hubs that we used to see an influx of immigration, saying that they have the resources there, Natasha, to handle any kind of influx there. But again, no plan has yet to be set in stone or announced to the public.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.